Well, it's noon here in Ventnor City, New Jersey, and Bethesda, Maryland. And this is news that you can use from CarEdge with your hosts, Zach and Ray. And if I may start off the show on a somewhat somber note, today,
Hmm.
Zach, would have been your mother's 70th birthday. So
It would.
happy birthday, dear.
Yeah, it is a sad reminder every year when it's mom's birthday, anniversary or
Yep.
death as well, and your wedding anniversary. Those are the three that, yeah, those
Yeah.
are the
Well,
three that,
well, well, two of the three come within like a 3.5 week period of time, and that's the real issue for me. So yeah.
yeah. Well,
But
appreciate you still doing the show, Dad. Yeah.
but even in spite of that, I will somehow force myself to talk about the issues of the day as they appear in the automobile industry and make it as interesting as I possibly can.
Thank you, Pops. All right, let us jump right in. I'm concerned, man. I'm concerned. We've got now a new trend in the used car market, wholesale used car market. And you know what happens in the wholesale market will ultimately end up impacting the retail market, Dad. The headline in Cox Automotive: wholesale used vehicle prices increase in January. Now, that is month over month. Year over year, wholesale prices are still down significantly, about 13%. But month
Yes.
over month, Dad, and let me scroll down to the chart. Month over month, we're seeing that. We're seeing a U-shaped recovery in wholesale used vehicle prices. We'll read it up here. Wholesale used vehicle prices increased 2.5% in January compared to December. The Manheim Used Vehicle Value Index rose to 224.8. That's what the chart is down below. That's still down nearly 13% year over year. January's increase was driven in part by the seasonal adjustment. We'll talk about that in a moment. The non-adjusted price change in January was an increase of 1.5% compared to December, moving the unadjusted average price down 11% year over year. Long story short, month over month prices went up, year over year prices went down. Now, Black Book, Dad, Black Book's showing a similar trend, in all honesty. I'll share that tab so that we can take a peek as well. Each week, Black Book is looking at the broader market, not just Manheim, but the market
Mhm.
overall, Dad, and they're showing that used vehicle depreciation is slowing down, and even slower
Yes.
than what it would historically be. So what should we make of all this, Pops?
I apparently what we should make of all this is that um, I don't want to necessarily say there's a pre-owned cars, but what I will say is there's a shortage of good pre-owned cars, and the dealers are willing to still pay up for the good 2 to 6 year old used cars that are out there. Um, and I believe they're doing that in a more robust manner this year than what we have historically seen in the past. Um, and I think some of that was based on the fact that retail volume, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
for used cars was up slightly in January, which was unusual at best for the month. And so
Yeah.
dealers always being reactive instead of active are reacting to the fact that sales were up greater than they would have ever anticipated for January, and so they think there's going to be a shortage of inventory, and so they're willing to overpay to get their hands on it at the moment.
I will say though, Dad, the used car data is colored in the same way that the new car sales data was. So let's look at this here. This is back at Cox Automotive. January's total new light vehicle sales were up 4.2% year over year with the same number of selling days. Okay, so we know that new vehicle sales
Yes.
were up. The issue, as we talked about before, was the sales into rental car company fleets, commercial fleets, government fleets. That's what drove that as well. And so you've got to wonder a little bit if the same thing has happened here on the used car side. Now, traditionally, fleets aren't buying used vehicles, but I wonder, Dad, if that's something that's going on as well. Could those buyers also be, again, shortage of good used cars? Could they be in the market helping to elevate or helping to increase some of these sales rates that we're seeing at the auction on the used car side as well?
Well, considering that the increase in fleet sales was was government fleets, large corporation fleets, and to a smaller degree, rental car company fleet purchases. I don't know that that would necessarily have an impact on the pre-owned cars. Now, the
Yeah.
concern might be that there's not enough new cars yet out there, and because we had lost, what was it, 15 to 18 million
Hmm.
cars of production over the last 2 years, that there were 15 to 18 million cars that weren't sold, that would have been sold, that would have created more trade-ins. So maybe that's the factor, because we've heard from any number of people that the quality of the pre-owned cars being offered at the auctions is way down.
Yeah.
It's just what's if it's a nice car running through the sales, it's bringing all the money and then some. And if it's crap, it's still bringing too much money,
Yeah.
because there's just a shortage. And right now is when dealers start to build up for what they hope will be a rather robust spring selling season. We'll have to see how that pans out based on the amount of income tax refunds that people are going to get this year, which the anticipation is that they're going to be much smaller than what people had been used to in the past. So there's any number of things that can impact this. And it was surprising to all that the used car values went up as they did in January, and that used car sales volume was as high as it was in January. It was unexpected good news for dealers, unexpected bad news for consumers. You have to remember, Zach,
Yeah.
that when dealers are happy, customers are not. And when customers are happy, dealers are not.
So do you think we're going to see, I hate to do this, but I got another email today, and I'll pull it up on the screen, Dad. I got another email today from our friends over at Carvana, and you can see it here. Good news. We just dropped the price even more. And I want to, if it's okay with you, Dad, I want to actually look. Let's do this. Let's take a quick peek. Let's see what
Okay.
this 2017 Acura MDX with 97,564 miles. That is insane. That is the
Well,
super
it's,
handling all-wheel
yeah.
drive. So they've got it at 27,900. Do you think, I've got a couple parts to this question. Do you think that we're
Yeah.
actually going to see like Carvana report better than expected earnings, partly because there was a stronger January than expected? And I also want to take that vehicle that we just looked at, I want to put it into Black Book live on the show and see if it's an actual fair price.
Well, do I think Carvana will report stronger earnings because January had improved sales? No, because the fourth quarter earnings ended the end of
Yeah.
December. So it'll be strictly based on what happened October, November, and December. So I think once we get their financials, that it'll be abysmal,
Yeah.
for the amount of sales and the amount of revenue per. And even though that particular vehicle is listed at what 27,990 or something like that,
That's it.
me just off the top of my head, I haven't been in the dealership in 4 or 5 years. But if I were to guess, the right price for that should probably be closer to 20,000. The
Let's
right retail price for that.
let's plug it into Black Book. And I also just want to address, I see it happening in the chat. If you are looking to get financing through a credit union, there are 4 credit unions that we endorse, that we work with.
Yes.
CarEdge.com/finance. Outside of that, Wild West. There are good credit unions, there are bad credit unions. So there are 4 that we endorse. And again, CarEdge.com/finance to see where those are. And obviously we can help you get set up with them as well. All right, Dad, let's plug that VIN in. And that
Okay.
vehicle had, let me double check, it had 97,554 miles,
Yep.
not 974,000. Let's 97,500. There we go.
There you go.
And let's
Yeah.
just say we're in my state here of Maryland.
Okay.
All right. So original MSRP on this vehicle way back when was $50,000.
Uh-huh.
Retail Black Book says, look at this, guys. This is insane. This is straight from Black Book. We can see the trade-in value, the private party value, and the retail value in great condition, average condition, and poor condition. Again, the asking price over at Carvana is $27,990, and that is down, Dad. I got the email marketing today from $29,990. Yet these are the actual prices someone should be thinking about paying.
Yeah, so let's assume it's a Carvana car, which means it's not going to be in great condition. Perhaps it's an average condition. So the average retail price should be $21,450. And I said that I thought the retail number on that car should be much closer to 20,000. Not even having been in the dealerships in 4 or 5 years, I think I was pretty spot on, especially for a car that has nearly 100,000 miles on it. Yeah, it's an Acura, which means, yeah, it's a Honda. And there's a much greater life expectancy for those type of vehicles, but it's not worth more than 50% of its original MSRP 6 model years in. It's just not, regardless of what Carvana says.
It is nice to be able to see on that Black Book valuation there, the full suite, trade and private party and retail and all the different conditions. And then, yeah, to put that into perspective with what a company like Carvana is asking, their prices are ridiculous. Any video we ever come up with or anyone you ever hear say fire sale at Carvana, huge grain of salt. Huge grain of salt. Like that is, the prices are way too high to begin with. But it does make you wonder, Dad, if Carvana is looking at the wholesale markets and other, retailers are looking at the wholesale markets and they're seeing some strength there, they might hold on to their pricing a little bit longer than they would have previously, because a couple months ago, prices were falling precipitously at the auctions. Now prices seem to be stabilizing at the auctions.
Yeah, but their pricing is still $3,000 above great condition pricing. Okay.
Yeah.
And as we know, they do very little to recondition their cars. Their reconditioning usually takes place after the sale, when the customer says, well, there's this, and this wrong. And they say, no problem. Go get it handled. We'll pay for it. That's when they do their reconditioning. It's an after the fact reconditioning. So having said that, even if they think that the market's going to come back strongly, it's not coming back 15 to 20% strongly. Okay. It's not. So that vehicle is still significantly $6,000 to $7,000 overpriced for what it is. Now, is it worth paying an extra $6,000 so that somebody can drop that off at your house on a rollback? I don't think so, but that's just me. I mean, there are people that prefer to do it that way, but I ain't paying an extra $6,000 so that I can have somebody just drop it off in my driveway and then tell me, hey, go find out what's wrong with it and we'll fix it then.
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear, Pops. All right, I want to just come here to the chat. Jeremy's asking the question, is Carvana still buying cars? And that ties in here with blessed be the curse. When's the peak of tax season if I want to sell my car? Is it now? A month from now? And I want to remind everyone back at caredge.com/sell, we can help you get offers from multiple dealers, including Carvana, all in one place and sell your car for the most money possible, not to mention the Black Book trade-in value. But let's answer these questions. When is the time to sell? Would it be now as wholesale values are starting to rebound a little bit? And is Carvana a viable option there?
It depends on what kind of car you're trying to sell. We spoke to Brandon from Car Questions Answered the other day. And, if it's a sub $10,000 car, dealers like him are going to pay for those right now. They're going to be worth more right now. If it's a more expensive car, those values don't go up quite as much because of tax season as the cheap cars do. So it depends what kind of car the gentleman's trying to sell. But based on what we're seeing at the auctions with depreciation slowing down on the wholesale
Yep.
side, perhaps another couple weeks, and the value of his pre-owned car, his or her pre-owned car, could very well be a little bit more than it is today. Will it be a lot of it? I don't know. It depends. We're only 7 or actually 6 completed days into February, so I haven't heard anything relative to how dealerships are doing through the first 6 days of the month. Are sales up over February of
Yeah.
last year? Are they down? Are they about the same? And like I said, dealers are reactive, not proactive. So everything's going to hinge on what has been transpiring through the first 6 days of the month. And so we'll have to wait and see a little bit.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Dad. And I will say, I mean, the time to sell a used car is probably going to be here sometime over the next 60 days, 45 to 60 days, because later on this year, as interest rates continue to go up, like the Fed, Jerome Powell's going to look at that chart from Cox Automotive and say, not on my watch. Like, I will do whatever I need to do to stop that from happening. And quite frankly, that the other story we had today, it's more on the new car side, but it will implicate used vehicles as well. I mean, even Jim Farley came out and said during earnings last week, we didn't cover the story,
Yes.
but we'll cover it today. Ford CEO Farley says transaction prices will fall in 2023. You don't have to read search too diligently in this article. It's right here. Quote, coming back to the U.S., as we said, a 15 million unit industry, we think prices are going to come and the industry are going to fall. Transaction prices will fall about 5%. So you don't have to look that far to realize that prices will go down. What happened last year over the past 18 months is not going to last forever. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, could you read just a little bit further in that paragraph? Because the reason that transaction prices were going to fall is because it's going to be a combination of manufacturer incentives and dealers willing to accept lower margins. So Jim Farley came out and said, guess what? We're going to have to underwrite our customers buying our vehicles to a greater degree moving forward than what we have been doing over the past 12 to 18 months. So he sees the handwriting on the wall. He realizes that the average transaction prices have gotten a little bit out of hand. The average Ford transaction price was over $57,000. That's not really sustainable if you're trying to be a mass market brand and you're trying to actually expand that market. So he knows it's going to cost them more to incentivize customers to continue to buy Ford products.
And now, again, put this back in the context of when's the best time to sell my used car. Again, the theme of 2023 will be cash is king and cars are not appreciating assets again. And so if used cars want to appreciate here for 6 weeks, might just happen. Might happen because there was a stronger than expected January. Maybe there will be a stronger than expected February. There is tax implications, tax season implications. But cars depreciate in 2023. That is going to be a reality. And that means that if you're in the market to sell a car, yeah, sure, maybe it's this week, maybe it's next week. Like, I would be tracking the values. I'd be going and using the sell tool on the website to see what your vehicle's worth. And it's a situation like we talked about at times last year. Sell your car now and then wait to buy the new one, because there is going to be more negotiability this year. There simply has to be. I can't see a world where there isn't. And Farley's coming out and saying, yeah, we're going to have to incentivize this. And we see it. We see it left and right. Everyone we talk to, everyone knows later this year, there's going to have to be incentives.
If they at Ford expect transaction prices to drop 5%, how does that impact all the people that bought new Fords last year and the year before? And how does it accelerate the depreciation of those vehicles? Okay, because normally, as we know from Black Book, you would expect vehicles to depreciate somewhere between 12 and 15% a year. Now, if average transaction prices are going to drop 5%, that has to increase the speed of depreciation for those cars that are a year or 2 years old. So instead of it being maybe 12 to 15%, perhaps it'll be 17 to 20% that they drop just because of the lower transaction prices. So as we see new car pricing come down, whether it be dealers willing to take a lower margin, manufacturers willing to invest more in incentives to get customers to buy those, it has to indicate that used car values will continue to decline at a more rapid pace. I believe, just me, but I believe that January and what we've seen so far with the increase in wholesale values is more of an aberration. Okay, that we will look back, say when we're in October or November, we will look back at January and we'll go, why did that happen? Okay, because I don't think it's a true indicator of the direction the market's going to continue to go. If new car prices are going to come down, used car values are going to decline. The two are tied hand in hand. So I think we're going to look back and we're going to say what we saw in January was an aberration, that there is no historical precedent for it, or precedents for it, and we will see wholesale values and hopefully retail values revert to a more normal depreciation level moving forward this year.
Yeah, I forget. I don't know what the technical term is, but I think it happens in the stock market. You'll look at a chart and you'll see like a decline and then like a little increase and then a bigger decline. Like the bigger decline is coming. I don't see a world where the bigger decline isn't coming. We're just on one of those little momentary inflation
It's
moments.
a blip.
It's going to come back.
It's a blip. I'm telling you, it's a blip. Everybody's gonna look back at it and go, don't know why the blip happened, but it happened. And then 2-3 months from now, we're gonna be right where we're supposed to be. I like that dead cat bounce. Yeah, I mean even dead cats bounce. So I think that's what it is. And so I'm not reading as much into it as maybe many others are. And I also believe that many dealers who will continue to overpay for cars at this particular moment in time will regret it in the not too distant future.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that one, Pops. Hey, I had an idea.
Yes.
I had an idea, and I also want to give a congratulations to one of our community members. We were looking at the Black Book data. What if we put it on used vehicle pages? Like if you're on a vehicle and this dealer's asking $25,850, I'm asking the chat, would it be nice if there was like a button here that just said like, what's the Black Book value? And when you clicked on it, it gave you, let's do this really quickly. How many miles does this have? It has 50,000 miles. 50. It just gave you, excuse me. Like you click the button on that page and it just like popped this up. Like this just popped right up for you. I'm asking in the chat, would that be useful? Should we invest in doing that? Go ahead, Dad.
I would say you don't need the chat to answer that. The answer is yes. It would be useful, and it would be beneficial. And if I can, it would completely if our search is not already differentiated from every other search out there, and I believe it is, it would further differentiate our search by providing consumers with additional information that is important when it comes to knowing A, what to offer for a car, and B, what the true market conditions are. So I personally believe that would be a great tool to have. Have no idea what it would cost to make it happen. But I think it would be a great tool to have. And hopefully the people in the chat would agree with that.
Yeah, I'm reading the messages and this seems, Justice, the reason we can't just list it is because we pay Black Book every single time we hit their API for that data. So we would need the user to trigger it or else we would be going broke pretty quickly. But I definitely see, yeah, okay. Yeah, all right, cool. This is super helpful. Thank you guys. This is a great way to inform what we do here at CarEdge. I will share this with the team. Maybe it is relatively simple, something we can do in the next week or two. I will have to double check with the team. Now, Dad, I want to share something here. I just
Yes.
had this shared with me very recently. We've got a 2023 Honda Civic. This is a first-time car buyer, folks. What you're looking at here is a first-time car buyer. And what you're seeing there, Dad, is 8.5% off of MSRP on a Honda Civic, a brand new Honda Civic. Look at that, Dad. Look at that. The deals are out there, folks. Congratulations to Ethan and congratulations to Space for getting this deal done. 8.5% off of 8.5% off of MSRP on a Honda. Okay, so please do not buy into the hype. Find the right dealer. Let us help you. This is what we do at CarEdge. Ethan's a first-time car buyer. 8.5% off MSRP on a Honda, Dad. That is incredible.
That is, it might make me want to run out and, well, no, not really. I really kind of like my Mini for whatever reason, but no, that's a great sign that even with new car shortages, and new car shortages are real or more real for certain brands than other brands, and Honda being one of them. That's a great sign when you can find a dealer that's willing to work with you. I would also love to find out if there were any incentives from the manufacturer that were involved. Because if he's a first-time buyer, I'm just assuming that he's perhaps a recent college graduate, and he might have qualified for the recent college graduate rebate, which I believe is $500. So that would help with that discount.
Yeah. Well, all I know is Space is one of the coaches on our end, and the entire team help people like Ethan every single day. And it's awesome to see results like that. And here you go. No grad on that deal, no loyalty. So there you go.
Wow. Great job. Great job, Space.
Yeah. Incredible job.
Incredible.
We've got here, Dad, from Jasmine saying, can you guys add moonroof, sunroof as a searchable feature? Jasmine, I'll show you in just a second. We already do have that. And then Sun says, can that data be cached? You don't get charged on every click. No, that is forbidden in the Black Book terms of service. I think they understand their business model. No, you cannot cache or save the data from Black Book, part of the challenge in actually working with them. But okay, I am going to take that back to the team. So Jasmine, let me show you really quickly. Let's say you're searching for a Toyota Highlander. What you can do, Jasmine, is over here on the left, click on features, and then it should, if it's one of the features associated with that vehicle, it will show up over here on the left. So this will be different as you search for different vehicles. So for example, I didn't see anything with like sunroof or moonroof there, but if I change my search to Acura MDX, now, if I go to features,
on an Acura MDX, you can't get an MDX without a moonroof, so it's a moot point.
There you go. But you can see, but you can see that to demonstrate it will show up now in the features search here. So please avail yourself of right there features. You can use that in combination with obviously like days on market. So if you want to see MDXs that have been on the lot for over 120 days, and then just to confirm it, I think I heard everyone say that they would want this. On this vehicle detail page, you want a button to see what the Black Book values are for this vehicle, in addition to obviously price history and things like that. So that'll be information I take back to the team.
And I just started a comment for you.
Put the Black Book behind the paywall of membership. I get my Black Book through my Consumer Reports. Yeah, absolutely. This would be a part of CarEdge plus CarEdge Coach. You'd have to have one of the two to get access to that information. That's for sure. It costs us every single time we hit their API. So unfortunately, that we can't make that free. We write a decent sized check to them on an ongoing basis to be able to have access to that information.
Yes, but that check also gets us access to Jared and and the whole team at Laura and Alex when they're gracious enough to come and do our show with us. So, but I don't know if they're worth that kind of money.
Hey, Dad, I'm seeing a couple other questions about the car search come up, so I'm going to pull them up here. Laura wants to know if you
Okay.
can search by interior color, and we have, can you filter out cars involved in accidents? So let me pull this back up on the screen, and forgive me, I've never done a really good job, I think, exposing all the different functionality we have. So if you go into color, you can see exterior color and interior color, so you can use those. And then we also have, Dad, under history,
Yes.
clean record. So if a vehicle was not involved in an accident, things like that, and this is pulled from Carfax. So clean record and single owner. So you can actually filter by clean record and single owner all the way down there on history. So right now, just to be clear, we're looking at Acura MDXs with a sunroof or moonroof within 1,000 miles of this zip code, sorted by nearest to me, that have a clean record and a single owner. So that's what we're currently looking at here. So yes, you have access to all of that, and we could obviously do the colors just as well.
Wow. So, and there were a total of 49 in a 1,000-mile area. That's not a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is not a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey, well, Pops, let's call it a show if it's okay with you. I know we'll be back tomorrow. But let's call it a show.
Sure.
Let's wish Mom a happy birthday once more. And yeah, let's go have a good afternoon.
Yeah, happy birthday, dear. Sorry we weren't all together to celebrate, but it is what it is. It's not the best of days, but at least we get to talk about it. So I guess that part of it's good. Anyway, we will be back here tomorrow again at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific, with more news that you can use from CarEdge with your hosts, Zach and Ray. So thanks for being here today. Look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow. And I promise to be just a tad more chipper tomorrow. I'll bring my chipper game tomorrow.
Thank you, Pops. I love you very much. Thank you, everyone, for being here. See you soon.
Love you too, handsome. Thank you.